You're listening to the Culips English podcast. To download the study guide for this episode, which includes the transcript, detailed vocabulary explanations, real-world examples, and a quiz, visit our website, culips.com. CULIPS.com. Hey everybody, my name is Andrew.
And my name is Morag.
And you're listening to Culips. Good morning, Morag.
Morning, Andrew.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. You're okay?
I'm doing pretty good, yeah. Morag, we're recording right now. It's, I guess, the middle of April.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure when this episode will come out, but Mercury in retrograde just finished a couple of days ago. Do you know what this is, Mercury in retrograde? Have you heard of this before?
I do know. Now, I don't actually remember exactly physically what it is, but it's a horoscope or like astrological term where Mercury is affecting us in some way. What I think it means is that communications are blocked and more difficult, and it's also supposed to be associated with old friends or lovers reappearing in your life.
One of my friends needs to buy a new computer, and she was advised not to buy a new computer until Mercury in retrograde, that period, is finished.
Really?
And yeah, because apparently it's a really bad time for technology, and her astrologer suggested that she waits until Mercury in retrograde is finished before buying a computer. So she was happy today. She finally bought it. She had been waiting for about 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And she took this really seriously. And yeah, actually, I didn't even know Mercury was in retrograde because I don't follow this kind of thing too closely.
Well, I actually tend to know that Mercury is in retrograde because I will get, unfailingly, I will get text messages from an old boyfriend or two. I remember there was one where I was looking at my phone and I was like, what is happening? Why am I talking to all of these people? And I looked it up and it was like Mercury in retrograde had just started and it was creepy.
Now that you mentioned it, that actually happened to me last week too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right?
Weird.
Right?
Maybe there's something to this. I'm not sure.
It's very strange. That past relationships thing is actually one of the only aspects of this Mercury in retrograde, and actually horoscopes in general, that usually seems actively true in my life. Like I'll look it up now, and usually when these things start or I'm contacted, it's that time. Weird.
Oh,
yeah.
Very, very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone, if you haven't guessed by now, the topic for today's Chatterbox episode is astrology and horoscopes and Mercury in retrograde, these astrological beliefs and events.
Mm-hmm.
So Chatterbox is our series where we just have a natural conversation. It's unscripted, it's free-flowing, and it will help you to improve your listening comprehension, listening fluency by just eavesdropping in. And just before we get really into the nitty-gritty of today's topic, I want to remind everybody to visit our website, culips.com, because this is the place where you can download the study guide for this episode. All right, Morag, let's continue with our conversation. And maybe we can transition to talk about horoscopes for a little bit.
Well, the most important part about that would be, hey, Andrew, what's your sign?
My sign is a Taurus. I'm a Taurus.
Taurus? Okay.
What about you?
I'm a Cancer.
Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I don't even know what these mean, to be quite frank with you.
We're talking about astrological sun signs here. So I know an embarrassing amount about horoscopes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just an interesting concept because it's a lot more complicated than the horoscopes in newspapers and that kind of thing makes it seem. I don't trust them. I just think it's an interesting thing.
Well, maybe before we get too far ahead, and for everyone that doesn't know, including maybe myself, you could give a brief definition of a horoscope. What is a horoscope?
A horoscope is a short piece of advice or statement of sort of the current status of someone's emotional life based on this astrological profile, general astrological profile. And that is determined by when you were born. Some of our listeners might be familiar with Chinese horoscopes, which are like done by year of birth. So like I'm a snake.
Ooh, I'm a rat.
You're a rat. Ooh. Ooh, we're not very trustworthy, I feel like.
No, we're not very cute.
No.
Animals here in our birth signs.
Yeah. So it's that kind of thing where you are one of 12 types. Mm-hmm. And those types or have certain characteristics with them. So when you look at a horoscope, it's what is going on with that type in a day. And you can usually, or a week or a month, you can usually find them in pretty much any newspaper in North America, like in the fun section.
Yeah, usually in one of the last pages of the newspaper, in the very back, by the crossword.
Yep, where you have the crossword and the word search and comics and stuff. But they're around, you know.
Yeah, so I enjoy reading my horoscope in the newspaper. I think it's always funny to read them, but I don't take them seriously. Usually the contents are about finances or relationships, maybe a career decision that you might have upcoming. They give you advice about making decisions surrounding these things. But yeah, I just read them for a kick.
My mom sent me a picture of my horoscope the other day, so I can read you an example.
Perfect.
This is actually from yesterday.
Okay, what's it say?
So Cancer, which is from June 22nd to July 23rd, if you are born in that space, you're Cancer, said, even minor efforts will yield major results over the next 24 hours, so get up and get busy, and don't use past failures as a convenient excuse not to try again. Identify your number one aim and focus on it to the exclusion of everything else. Which, to be honest, is a very general good piece of advice.
Yeah, I feel like that's not really a prediction about the future at all. That's just a motivational message, essentially.
Well, yeah, I think they're not usually a clear prediction because that's really impossible.
Right.
But I mean, especially with these like super general things, if you're really, really into astrology, you do usually believe that you can predict or tell what the flow of some major events in people's lives will be, but like not what they are, but when they happen and that kind of thing. But there's like a million other things and other signs and other stuff that goes into that calculation. This is just like a very general thing. So these all tend to be, I don't know, just an interesting cue to see what you think about it. So if you read something, they're general enough that you'll apply it to something in your life, which I think is useful. Because when I read that, I was like, oh, I really need to study French. But it's what you read into it that tells you more about yourself than the thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I guess there's some similar principles at play when it comes to fortune telling too, right? If you go to see a psychic or a fortune teller, they usually give you pretty vague readings of the future, and each individual can kind of read into that and make something of it if they want to.
Absolutely. It's a similar thing with tarot cards, that kind of thing. It's,
right.
Yeah, it's like if I show you this thing and it has this general meaning, what comes up in your mind?
Right.
I don't know if you know, or if our listeners will know what a Rorschach test is.
That's the psychological ink blot test, is it?
Yeah. So if anybody wants to Google it, you'll probably recognize that from its popular culture. But it's like that. They're all like that, I think. It's about what you see and what you take from it and how your brain works with that rather than what it actually says. So they're all really, really general. But they're also super fun.
They are fun. They are fun.
Yeah. Because sometimes you're like, oh, it's going to be a really, really important day today. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm just realizing now the motivational aspect of them. I guess it's something that it never really clicked before, but I think that's great. If they're helping people work harder or achieve their goals or work towards their goals, then I think I'm thinking more positively right now about horoscopes than I ever have in the past.
That's cool. I mean, some of the other things they do, they often will tell you to be careful with your money. They're generally like pretty, or pay attention to another person's needs or what they're saying, or value yourself and your time. Like they're all pretty good things that we need to be reminded of most of the time.
It's funny that you mentioned studying French just a couple of moments ago, Morag, because when I lived in Montreal, I studied French and I went to a French school and took language classes for 4 hours every day. And it was great. It was an awesome opportunity to study French. And one of my classmates in that class actually was a horoscope writer. That was his
No way.
Side gig. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think he gave me a negative impression of horoscopes because I saw how he didn't take it seriously, how he was just willy-nilly about writing the horoscopes. He's like, oh man, I got to go home after class and write these horoscopes for tomorrow's paper.
Oh man.
I don't think he was touched with some sort of enlightened thinking that allowed him to, I don't know, read the stars the way that an astrologist needs to.
I think that the most fun and the best sort of horoscopes and astrological things are these days to be found on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people who will make like astrological memes. Like jokes and things.
Yes.
Also
like the Taurus starter pack or something like this.
Yeah, kind of stuff. Or like I can never want to use my sign because it sounds really weird. Cancer bingo, that sounds awful. But like Libra bingo or something. But they sort of tell you, people will make jokes and that kind of thing. And but they're enthusiasts, and they're people who will write things toward the supposed characteristics of the sign. So I mean, like, you'll have people be a little bit more tender with cancers, very emotional, that kind of thing. So that's actually kind of fun. I think that it should mostly just come from people who enjoy the thing, maybe. But I don't know, it's fun, and there's probably some very strange and applicable vocabulary if you do look on Instagram for this kind of thing. It's quite popular right now. especially among people sort of in their early 20s and things. So
yeah, I was going to mention that it's kind of a part of the, almost like the hipster Instagram subculture is talking about astrology. And I do see a lot of it on my Instagram feed as well. So it's not hard to find. If you click around.
No, it's not.
You'll find those memes. And some of them are quite funny, actually.
Yeah. Some of them are really interesting. Yeah. Or just ridiculous.
Well, Morag, I think maybe we can wrap it up here. I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time today, but I'm really curious about our listeners, guys. Do you read your horoscope every morning in the newspaper? Do you buy into astrology? You should send us a message and let us know. I'm really curious. And the best way to do that is probably just by sending us an email. Our email address is contact@culips.com. contact@culips.com. We're also on social media, Facebook and Twitter. If you go to those sites and search for Culips, you're bound to find us and you can contact us through there as well. And yeah, Morag, I think that brings us to the end. So we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
The best way to study with Culips is by becoming a Culips member. When you become a Culips member, you will get full transcripts, detailed vocabulary explanations, and quizzes for each episode. Visit culips.com. That's CULIPS.com to sign up and become a member.